First of all, because a lot of things can be manipulated and put to their to fit certain narratives also. That's why it's important for archaeologists to take certain things and test the dating of certain things and be able to factually be like, this is true.
Okay.
Now, and I'm not saying
Oh,
I'm not saying that arc that was found over there or quote unquote,
I'm gonna put the video in here.
yeah, I know exactly what
Yeah,
you're
you
talking
know,
about.
yeah.
I'm not saying that is true or not true. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? But what I'm saying is that it comes to a time where we specifically, you know what I'm saying, can't just solely depend on what the Bible narrative is saying, when actually some things may not happen the way, like for example with the flood. Like, okay, it said that the flood, it happened, the Bible makes it seem like the flood happened all around the world.
Oh, I'm ready for this. Now, see, now that
Yeah.
oh, you getting hot, Cheetah.
But now when you
No,
when
I
you
got
when
something.
you
Come
when
on with
you
it.
when you go when you go into
Wait a minute.
history, with this with archaeology, it's things that's found in parts of Mesopotamia where it was actually, floods actually around there that was flooding that area, you know what I'm saying, around
Yeah, it was
certain
everywhere.
you know
Floods
what I'm
everywhere.
saying?
You gonna find it everywhere though.
Nah, you don't.
You do.
Okay, show
You.
me show me show
Yeah.
me show me show me the actual historical evidence of these things. And I'm not talking about somebody just posting a video saying this is this and this. This had to be corroborated with multiple sources and all of that, and it has to be, you have to be able to.
There's a lot of so this goes back to what I was saying about how the evidence of the flood gets suppressed in the scientific community.
No, it.
Let me say. So you talk about evidence, right? We're talking about closed clams on the top of a mountain.
That can be
It
any
can't
boat,
be.
any.
It cannot. How
It
how
can.
how does a clam? Because clams don't swim. They don't
Uh-huh.
fly.
But
They
when
don't
did
float.
this could have happened? This could have happened 200 years ago.
Okay, but we have the history. We know no there was no flood that got to the
No,
top
I'm
of
saying, I'm saying,
Mount Everest.
but we
We
don't.
talking about Mount Everest, one of the highest mountains on Earth.
I don't.
So
What evidence that's saying that
there are
water
clams.
reached?
Okay,
Because clan, where's the erosion of
stop.
these? You know what I'm saying?
Hold on, hear me out. Hear me out. Let's start. Let's deal with one thing at a time, right? Let's not dismiss this clam thing. Let's not just
Yeah, I'm
roll
not.
over that. What
Yeah.
I'm saying is, how does a clam, it's not one, but clams, found petrified or was it? Is it petrified, right? When they
Wait,
when they find it on the dirt and it's been fossilized,
yeah,
not
fossilized. Yeah.
petrified. Fossilized. How do you find fossilized clams on the top of a mountain? Clams only exist where? In the ocean, in water.
I mean,
They don't. You don't like clams. Don't grow on mountains. They don't walk on mountains. They don't fly. How does a clam get to the top of a mountain? And it's I keep want to say petrified. It's fossilized and it's closed. From my understanding, clams when they die, they open up.
let me ask you this.
So,
Let me,
but if it was closed, I'm saying this is evidence, not proof,
Yeah.
but this is evidence of a worldwide flood because you got clams, fossilized on top of the mountain, closed down because the water was that high that clams and they got covered in dirt. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
How do you have trees standing straight up in multiple layers of dirt? Like the Grand Canyon, for example. The Grand Canyon is proof of a worldwide flood. People say they don't know how the Grand Canyon happened. It happened very quickly and very shortly when they had all that water rushing. So there's tons and tons. And when I edit this video, I'm gonna put all these different evidences of the worldwide flood.
but be when you do that, be specific on the dates of these fossilizations, because one thing
I wanna
thing
get to
one,
that.
one thing you have, okay, if we're gonna deal with fossilized things being imprinted in the earth.
Now, do we have physical evidence on the Earth confirming a global catastrophe? Well, who's been to the Grand Canyon? Right, you stand on the edge there and you say, wow, something happened, right? Something carved this out, and you can see all the layers, right, perfectly aligned. And if you read all the signage there, what does it say? Over millions of years of erosion by the Colorado River, right, the Grand Canyon is formed. And they'll actually make the claim that, the Grand Canyon had to have taken millions of years to form because we never witnessed rapid canyon formation. Well, is that true? No, because we have. So if we go back to the Mount St. Helen, right, there was the major eruption in 1980 that many of us remember. Of course, this is the 45th anniversary this year of that eruption. But there was another eruption in 1982, which is significant. In 1982, when Mount St. Helen erupted, it formed what is now called the Little Grand Canyon. You see a picture of it here. The Little Grand Canyon, formed because of this eruption, is 1/40th the size of the Grand Canyon, and it was carved out in one day. So could the Grand Canyon have been formed in 40 days? Yes. We've witnessed rapid canyon formation, right? So there's no question the Grand Canyon could have been formed extremely quickly post-flood. And we have billions of dead things all over the earth. I like to say we have the largest crime scene in history, covering the entire face of the earth. Billions of dead things. Would you say that's a catastrophe? And we see that these dead things are preserved in exquisite detail. Now I can tell you as a forensic scientist, when something dies in water, you know what happens? It gets picked apart very quickly. Stuff's going to start eating at it, bacteria moves in, and what's going to happen? The currents, right, is going to pull these pieces and separate them. Now, what we find in the fossil record, though, is very different. What we find in the fossil record is exquisite detail. Well, we don't get that normally, right? In normal forensic decomposition, you don't see that. To have fossils, you have to have exact conditions, very different. We know that things have to be buried rapidly to preserve that detail. And then very quickly, right, it's going to mineralize, right, into the fossils that we see today. And we actually see these amazing things in the fossil record, like actually an ichthyosaur giving live birth, right, preserved in time, or our fish eating lunch like we saw earlier. I love this example here, where you actually have this fish, and in the fish's mouth is a pterosaur. Right? And when they did some examinations of the pterosaur, they found in its stomach it actually has like a little ostracod, shrimp-like creature. So here's what I imagine, right? I imagine that the pterosaur is hungry, so it's coming down to the water and scooping up the shrimp, and then the bigger fish in the water sees the pterosaur and, right, grabs the pterosaur. And in a secular narrative, well, they would have died, they would have sunk to the bottom of the river, intact, buried with sediment and pressure and time and sediment, and they fossilize over a long period of time. Does that make any sense at all? No, right? To get this kind of detail, we know it had to be buried instantly. Something catastrophic happened. So do we have physical evidence confirming a global catastrophe? Yes, right? Like I said, the largest crime scene, billions of dead things, no question about it.
Let me ask you this. You know what I'm saying? Do you believe dinosaurs are real?
Okay, yes, but not in the way that they've been presented to us.
I mean,
Like,
how fossils?
like for example, Tyrannosaurus Rex, right? You got this big old thing, big head, big mouth, and he got these little bit of hands. That's stupid. That's stupid. I don't believe that with how they present that is that those little hands are not little hands. Those are bones for the wings. These were dragons. Every culture, in going back to the 1500s, 1400s, they all talk about dragons. China, England, they all have these stories of dragons. And the dragon if you look at any movie, the dragon look just like a Tyrannosaurus Rex, except instead of having small hands, it got wings. And if you look at ostrich wings, the skeleton of it, if you put them this way, they look like hands. If you put them like wings, they look like the bones that go on the wings. So that's just one example. So there's tons of bones that show that, and there's tons of fossilized things that show man and dinosaur walked the earth at the same time. Like yes.
You sure?
Yes.
Yes. What specific? Now,
I'm gonna have to put in the video because I can't recall off the top of my head. But there's lots of evidence that men and there's people today in certain parts of Africa and the Congos that tell you they see these things still to this day.
Yeah, you will see. It's a difference. It's a difference.
I ain't talking about no hippos either.
No,
I'm talking about.
I'm saying when it comes to the first of all the dinosaurs. Now I don't know if you believe this or not, but the dinosaurs, they ruled the earth for almost 150 million years. You know what I'm saying? Okay, now listen.
This about to be over with. Now you done messed up. You said you bought the bottle of beer at 11:59.
Yeah,
you know you done messed up.
Nah.
You know you done messed up now.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Yeah, I'm listening.
Now, according, because I'm going in this direction because you're mentioning things about these clams and these fossilizations.
Right.
You know, when
as proof of the worldwide flood. Yeah.
Now you have to look at the time dates of these fossils.
Let's talk about it.
Now, so going back to what I'm saying about dinosaurs.
150 million years. We're gonna get to that.
Yeah, I mean, hey. But you know what I'm saying, is that scientists actually found in South America. I want to say it's in South America where the asteroid that supposedly knocked out the dinosaur. They found the crater of that. You know what I'm saying, and it dates back to around I think 50 million years or something when that actually. You know what I'm saying? So I'm saying, but if you want to mention these fossilizations,
I want to mention
then
that.
you have
We
you're stepping in that
address
realm.
that right
You
now.
stepping in that realm. Now,
Okay.
well, let me say the last thing. Now, you mentioned about the T-Rex and all that. Now, it's fossils, all right, of the different species of these different. You got dinosaurs, then you got another breed of something that took place, you know, after what they call the Great Dying. Okay, after the Great Dying, you had a bunch of these.
It's the Great Lying because they're lying. But go ahead.
I mean, you can say that, but you can, I mean, at the end of the day, you mentioned fossils.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And these
Finish what you're
fossils
saying.
comes with
Finish
dates.
your point. So
You know what I'm
the
saying?
Great Dying.
After the Great Dying, you had another phase of certain mammals and you know what I'm saying, what we may call reptilians, you know what I'm saying, actually. Now these reptilians was not the same as the previous
reptiles or reptilians? Reptiles.
Reptiles. Yeah, I'm sorry,
you know, you say reptilian. That's a whole nother conversation.
These reptiles wasn't the same as the previous reptiles that ruled, you know, after the
dinosaurs,
the Great Dying and stuff like that. So what I'm saying is that these when you mentioned these humans walking with these
dinosaurs.
type
so
of these,
that could have been after that or different time.
It was mammoths and certain things around when these cavemen was around with these. But that's different from when the actual dinosaurs was ruling before the Great Dying.
Okay,
and stuff
so
like that.
one of the things I'm putting this thing because they found they I don't know if it was in a rock or something, but they actually unearthed within the last 20 years or at least last 30 years, I think, they actually found live living dinosaur tissue. Which should be impossible. If the Great Dying happened like what you just talked about, it should not be possible to find living dinosaur tissue.
I don't think they did.
Oh, they did. I'm gonna show them. Listen, so going back, and this is the problem that.
Following the footprints in Texas, Marcus Moore on the dinosaurs.
Tonight, a historic drought revealing the astonishing steps from a prehistoric past.
Could humans and dinosaurs have once shared the same Earth at the same time? It sounds impossible, yet across the globe, strange evidence is surfacing that challenges long-held beliefs about our ancient past. From mysterious carvings etched into ancient stone to fossils dated far outside their expected timeline, these clues are too compelling to ignore. In this collection of 25 astonishing discoveries, forgotten artifacts, puzzling footprints, and prehistoric puzzles hint at a story lost to time. One quiet riverbed in Texas may even hold the literal imprint of an untold chapter. Are these mere misinterpretations or echoes of a history we've overlooked? Riverbed Riddles of Texas. In the quiet riverbeds of Paluxy River, Texas, an extraordinary discovery sparked decades of debate. Footprints of what appeared to be giant humans walking alongside dinosaurs. These tracks, embedded in sediment layers of a dried-up riverbed.
I'm here at Dinosaur Valley State Park in Texas, and just a remarkable sight here. These are dinosaur prints that
have fueled theories that humans and dinosaurs may have coexisted, defying the conventional scientific timeline. Enthusiasts point to the realistic size and shape of the human-like footprints.
Following the footprints in Texas, Marcus Moore on the dinosaurs.
Some located directly beside or even overlapping dinosaur tracks, as compelling evidence of a shared prehistoric past. For supporters, this discovery represents tangible proof of a forgotten era, when giants and dinosaurs roamed the Earth together. The scientific community, however, remains deeply divided. Many researchers have dismissed the human tracks as either misidentified or, at worst, hoax carvings by someone seeking attention or controversy. Nevertheless, many continue to be captivated by the Paluxy River tracks.
Various tracks have been discovered around the state park in Glen Rose, Texas, but one is causing a big roar.
And they serve to stimulate exploration into what we accept as established facts. Whether they are real or simply an artifice, their mystery is a symbol of the continuing struggle between mainstream archaeology and alternative theorists, while leaving visible evidence of how much is yet to be inferred about humankind's ancient past. Footprints are just the beginning. What's coming next could flip the fossil record on its head.
Well, Kevin, what did you find then when you were looking at the sample and you actually found some tissue?
Okay, here's what we found. Here we have a piece of the horn that has been decalcified, like what I just showed you over on the bench. Mark Armitage was our microscopist working on this, and Mark then took a piece of the decalcified horn and put it under a microscope. See the fibrous material there? That's part of the composition of the bone matrix itself. But what's really of interest is see the white material here on the surface swaying back and forth? That's actual dinosaur tissue on the surface. See, this is not a solid fossil. This has got tissue characteristic to it. See, notice how it flexes back. And that's, of course, very interesting how you pull on it, flexes back, pull on it, flexes back. That's characteristic of tissue. That's what tissue would do. Now, Mark then was able to extract some very thin layers of elastic material away from the inner core of the horn. But he didn't have to decalcify the horn in order to do this. You can see it's stretchy, it's flexible. In fact, look, notice, see how it's stretching? It's stretching almost to twice its original size of what it was. See, this again is original dinosaur tissue that he's peeled directly from the fossil. There was no decalcification that he did first. See, this is how accessible this tissue was. He didn't have to remove any fossilized bone to get to this tissue. Okay, now, here is a light microscope picture of the tissue itself. You can see the texture of it. And in fact, see, notice the arrows, they're pointing to cells. These cells specifically are what we call osteocytes. Those are bone cells. They're involved in making bone, because even though we think of bone as a rock, bone is tissue. Bone is not a rock. In fact, in our bodies, bone is replaced about every 10 years to keep it all fresh and the new matrix laid down and such. So it's constantly being changed, and that's what those cells do. And if you look at them then at a closer magnification, what we see then, this is using scanning electron microscopy, you see the extreme detail of the cells. See how well that's preserved? I mean, that doesn't speak for something that has been degrading or something that has just been in a non-pristine condition for 65, 70 million years. We would not begin to expect to see such enormous and elaborate detail. I mean, these structures are incredibly small. You know, this is our 20 micron bar here. See how small these structures are, still intact. And yet to see that kind of detail, then obviously the preservation process is surprising really to everybody. But I think as creationists, we have a lot less to explain than someone trying to suggest that this is, 65, 70 million years of age.
When we talk about you said scientists. I'm glad you said that, because it wasn't science. Because science doesn't do that. So we go back to the dates. How do they date a fossil?
How do they date a fossil?
Do you understand?
And we can go into, but then it's all it's going to do is just contradict what you're saying about the ark and the clam.
It's not going to contradict it. It's not. So what I'm saying. So you said we got to address the dates. The dates are going to throw everything out, right? So when I'm saying how do they date? Do you let me ask you. Do you know the date?
I don't know the whole date.
The procedure, the process. Okay, all right. So let's go into, because most people first thing people gonna say is carbon dating, right? Carbon dating doesn't go really beyond 12, 16,000 years, right? So they're not using carbon dating. So people, anybody who think that's old stuff, that they don't use carbon dating. Carbon dating, you cannot carbon date nothing past some thousands of years. I think 12 or 16,000 years or something like that. And then after that, it becomes completely inaccurate and falls apart, right? And they've and so they've carbon dated what's them things? Spark plugs. They found an old spark plug that had been fossilized. They found fossilized spark plugs. How? How can you find a fossilized spark plugs existed millions of years ago when when everything got fossilized? mysteriously, because if it wasn't a flood, we don't know how everything get fossilized like that. But let's say it wasn't a flood, but how you get a because it takes millions of years for fossils to form, according to what they're saying. That's not true, because spark plugs from lawnmowers have been fossilized, and they found them, and then they date them, and the dates come back crazy, and you can see the serial number, and you can look up when this spark plug was made.
Yeah.
So that proves already that it doesn't take millions of years to fossilize anything. So how are they dating these dinosaur bones or whatever they're finding, right? So this is how they date it. They say they're going to date it. So if you go to a museum, and anybody watching this, please try this. Go to a museum, a dinosaur museum, and ask the person, hey, how do they date those dinosaur bones? Oh, they date it based on the layer of dirt that they find in. I forget the term. What is it called? What's the term, man? With the layers of dirt. Anyway, I forget the term, right? Excuse me, I'm sorry about that. But so they based on the level, the layer of sediment
soil,
or dirt. Yeah, that's how they the geological table. Thank you. The geological table. So based on where they find it in the geological table, which is essentially the different layers of dirt, that's how they know how old the bones are.
Yeah.
Okay.
Rocks,
Yeah. So then the question becomes, well, how do you know how old the dirt is? How you know this layer of dirt and this layer of dirt is different ages? Oh, we know that based on the type of bones we find in that layer of dirt.
Yeah.
No, that makes sense to you. So that's circular. That's circular.
That's the same thing with
reasoning.
the clams, though. That's what I'm saying.
It's not. It's not.
It is because them.
So
you just made a you.
Explain, because I'm saying what I just explained to you was circular logic, circular
But
reasoning,
it's the same thing
right?
with the
They have no
clams.
way of
These
dating.
clams probably can't even be. It can be
It's
just as much as the spark plugs.
Okay, that's cool. I disagree, but I understand what you're saying, right? The clams could have been a day old. The question that not being answered here is how you get all not one or two clams. We're talking about a lot of clams at the top of a Mount Everest or a Mount whatever. How you get these clams on the top of a mountain that have been fossilized? Fossilized clams.
It may be something that took place.
And I'm saying it don't. I'm saying I don't because, but I'm not saying that proves a flood.
Yeah.
But then that's evidence that there was a great flood. That something water had to go up that high in order for clams to be on top of this mountain and get covered with sediment and dirt and then become fossilized. Right. So that's my point. But going back to the dinosaur bones and all this stuff. What I'm saying is these dates that you were mentioning. 1.6 million, 150 million. These dates, there's no accurate science that they have to accurately date something way back then. Carbon dating is accurate up to about 12,000, 15,000 years, 16,000 years. They use argon dating to come up with these things, and that's not an exact science. That's what I'm saying. So these numbers that they're telling you and this is why I'm saying that there's a collusion in science to disprove the Bible, because these numbers they coming up with, that's not an accurate science.
I wouldn't say it's.
It's not.
I think I think people so embedded when it comes to that whatever the Bible say is 100% true. It's going back to that.
Yeah, that's me. I'm that people. I'm the people.
Right.
Right.
And that's what so it's like
He's
it's
picking
like,
on me. Y'all see he targeting me.
Nah, man.
I'm the victim.
With that, because is to be honest, the thing about dinosaurs, you know what I'm saying? I'm gonna say this. Now, me personally, I don't believe that man was actually living amongst that. We will be consumed. Okay, we would.
If they are what the people telling you they are. All right. So even when I found out, like the reason why they know how dinosaurs look is because people have seen them. Because there's no science that you can find some bones and then reconstruct exactly how that animal looked just based on the bones. You can't reconstruct how a person looks based on their bones. You cannot do it. You don't know what kind of body fat, none of that.
Yeah.
So where they get the idea of how to depict them as this, you know what I'm saying? They claim they seen things on the wall and stuff like that, and they find these bones and they reconstruct it. But so what I'm saying is, there's a artist rendering of what they think these things look like in some cases.
I agree.
And so and we don't, like, you can't go pick up a dinosaur bone in the Smithsonian. Like the ones you go into the museum, none of those are real dinosaur bones. Right? It's hard to even look at a quote unquote real dinosaur bone, and you'll find out a lot of these things that you see of these skeletons of dinosaur bones. A lot of them not even are based on 5 or 6 bones. They'll find a leg bone, a foot bone, a shoulder bone, and then they'll reconstruct this whole thing and put this plaster of Paris and put this in the museum and say, this is the dinosaur we found, and all you found was a leg bone.
Now,
they do this a lot.
Yeah, I mean, what you're saying, I'm not disagreeing with. The thing is, okay, they have enough information to give a somewhat of a pictorial or a image of it. Now yes they do. Now what they do be wrong about, like, because there's certain things you can't prove. Like, you can't prove that T-Rex was loud.
How they
like
depicted
that.
it on it,
You know
yeah.
what I'm saying? But they can get a synopsis. Okay, they must have been this type of tall based off what they discovered. You know what I'm saying? And okay, they had to be at the top of the food chain based off what they discovered. You know what I'm saying? Now all the extra stuff
They didn't discover what they discovered though.
No,
Go ahead. Go.
But now all the extra stuff, like how fast they is and them
all the stuff you see in movies and videos and cartoons,
like all that stuff,
that's all fantasy.
all
That's all somebody's imagination.
But they do have somewhat of a synopsis. Now, like all the other stuff can be definitely them filling in certain things, whatever like that, and assuming certain things. But for the most part, they have information where they can be like, yeah, it was this type of dinosaur that had a long neck. You know what I'm saying? That,
Why? I'm saying the reason why is because people have seen them and described them in past.
I mean,
you
had
so they
ancient
not
civilizations that recorded.
To this day, evolutionists still don't have a good answer as to why people groups all over the world claim to have seen creatures resembling dinosaurs throughout history. Even the 1973 World Book Encyclopedia contained this entry under dragons. The dragons of legend are strangely like actual creatures that have lived in the past. They are much like the great reptiles, dinosaurs, which inhabited the earth long before man is supposed to have appeared on earth. For someone wondering why critics tend to mock the idea that references to dragons were in fact what we call dinosaurs today, no one could have explained it better than Bible skeptic Louis Jacobs, the former president of the Society of Vertebrate Paleontology. In his book, Quest for the African Dinosaurs, he said, "Such an association would dispel an Earth with vast antiquity. The entire history of creation, including the day of rest, could be accommodated in the 7 biblical days of the Genesis myth. Evolution would be vanquished." Indeed, Jacob's comment is the perfect summation. If humans saw dinosaurs, and they did, evolution is dead in the scummy water it was supposed to have been spawned from. And the plethora of dinosaur depictions demonstrating people did observe these creatures, found on tapestries, carvings, and engravings around the world, prove it. Indeed, just 3 such unique finds depicting sauropods clearly demonstrate humans witnessed live dinosaurs. How so? Well, one of the oldest Mesopotamian cylinder seals, cylinder-shaped seals rolled on clay to embed images. 2, an engraving on Richard Bell's tomb, Bishop of Carlisle buried in Carlisle Cathedral in the UK. And 3, the Narmer Palette, a vase from the First Dynasty Egypt, and estimated to be from 3100 to 2890 BC. These all have creatures that the average child would readily recognize as looking similar to a sauropod, all having long necks and tails, etc. Most fascinatingly, all 3 show them with their long necks entwined. Each of these artifacts are separated in time by hundreds of years and geographically by hundreds of miles from where each was created, by 3 separate and distinct people groups living at different times in history. And yet all 3 groups depicted these long-necked, long-tailed creatures, unlike any living animals today, in the same pose, as if performing the same activity, like giraffes necking. This is indeed strong evidence that people observed these creatures through time. The fact that these dragon legends are worldwide leads to another question.
got pictures stuff. They not doing that. They're not using science. They're not getting no bones and coming up with this stuff. That's all I'm saying. But we going way down the road. I want to get back to the whole thing about the dates, right? And so because the dates would disprove the scriptures. Or it would at least say the scriptures don't have, it's missing chunks of information and all this other stuff, right? Because something that great, the Bible will talk about. You know, remember we had, that's one of them like 18-hour Bible studies we had. Or it was a long time. Remember me and the nine, we going around about the behemoth and Leviathan, right? Because the Bible talk about these great beasts that the Most High created on the fourth day, right? They can drink a whole lake of water, and you know what I'm saying? And they had a tail like a cedar. So the Bible describes these massive things that God created. And God told Job, like, bro, who you talking to? Like, was you there when I created this? Can you even, you know what I'm saying? You even deal with this beast? This beast, this thing, his scales are so tight together. You can't put air between them. You can't put a piece of paper. I forgot what it said, but it's in Job. It describes the Leviathan and the scales and how tight they put together and everything. How massive the behemoth is, and so you know, so the Bible talks about these massive beasts in that case, but to say something is millions of years old, there's no science behind that. I mean, that's all.
Let me ask you about
that's all religious.
So let me ask you this. According to biblical tradition, how old is the Earth? And I'm it's two questions I'm about to ask. You know what I'm saying?
That's debatable. 12,000 or 6,000. I'm leaning toward 12,000. I'm leaning toward 12,000.
Now, how old is the city of Jericho?
I don't know. I'll be lying to you.
It's older than 12,000.
How old is it?
It's like it's at least it's older than 12,000. I can't get exact.
So we go right back to who dated the city of Jericho older than 12,000? How?
Many archaeologists.
Based on
what?
You
know what I'm saying? Based off
the geologic column?
It's still being there. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, but what? How they found some bricks, and how do they determine these bricks is? Let's say they say it's 20,000 years old. How, this hypothetically, right? But how do they determine these bricks or whatever they found, whatever they dug up? How do they age it to say this is 20,000 years old? This is.
It's a two-method thing on how they do that, based off the stones and the rocks that's found, and then also based off literature, because you do have literature we're coming from like things like the Ibala tablets that speak about Jericho. It's things about Jerusalem that's mentioned. Jerusalem name is mentioned back in the 16th century BCE, way before Israel was even a nation.
Okay, I would have to see that and examine it.
No,
but I know you've seen it. I ain't seen it, right? So, but I want to go back to the Jericho thing, right? So, what is the oldest writing that we have?
The oldest writing,
to your knowledge,
it comes from Mesopotamia. This is
the Babylonian, right? Not Sumerian. Sumerian text is the oldest text, right? Now, how old is the Sumerian text?
Pretty old. No, they go back to the first known of men actually writing. You know what I'm saying? Would be, going into like the what they call the Bronze Age, the early stage of the Bronze.
That's the earliest writing we have, right?
Bronze Age. No, so don't quote me on that, but
I'm saying
because you got the Stone Age where it wasn't no writing.
Right. Okay, so now the Sumerian. So what's the earliest civilization that we know of that we can, historically?
The earliest civilization is Mesopotamia.
Okay,
that's the earliest civilization.
So, but Jericho had to exist before them. If what they say, if Jericho is this old, then they would have to exist before the Babylonians and the Sumerians.
Listen to what I'm saying.
Yes.
Civilization. We talking about civilization, and we talking about
opposed to a city.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying.
So the city, I'm saying, that's who built the city.
Who built? I mean, it was people actually living. And that's what it's people. It was
but
people.
The oldest records we have of people don't go back as far as you saying Jericho goes back.
No, they.
So
no,
somebody had to be here. Somebody had to be here to build Jericho. That was before the Babylonians and the Sumerians.
No, the oldest civilization doesn't mean that it has the oldest cities. Okay, this civilization stretched all the way to what we call this is a Mesopotamia was ruling.
Right.
So if a civilization is ruling, that necessarily doesn't rule out the cities that was built by people who was living in these areas and
before the Sumerians came into power.
Yeah,
before
before the civilization
yeah.
came into its power effect.
Right,
You
right.
know what I'm saying? So you have
Okay,
old
I got
cities.
you. I got you. Okay, okay. I mean, thank you. You followed me down there. That makes sense, right? So people could have been there building cities before Babylon, before Nimrod actually became
Well,
the ruler of the world. But I'm just saying though, I'm just saying like these cities would had to exist before
they did.
Babylon did.
They did.
Right?
These cities, because Babylon not the Iraq
Oldest
is not
joint,
the
yeah.
oldest. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
But okay, so you addressed that. Yeah, you got me on that. All right, but you know what I'm saying? All right, cool. But I'm going back to how did they date Jericho? Who said
Well,
Jericho
I'm
was
saying,
this old?
okay, Tex. Okay, because you got
The
text,
text, yes.
and then actually
The text says is how old? Older than 12,000 years.
you got yeah, because we if we dealing with history, if we go back, let's just say we going back to the 1700s BCE. That's how old is that? That's more than that's
17,000. I don't know.
I mean, it's been like this 17,000 BCE to 2026.
Yeah.
That's that's a
17,000. Since the 12,000, 17,000 years, right? 18,000
so
years.
yeah, so that's already older than the
What
Bible.
what text?
That's
What
saying
yeah?
that
What text is that?
the
Ibala.
Ibala EBLA.
Now I'm okay. Okay, go ahead and finish this so we can people watching.
EBLA is it's a society, a civilization, Ibala. You know what I'm saying?
Because you know what's gonna happen, right?
What's up?
You know I'm gonna go look this up.
You could.
And when I find it, I'm gonna dig through it and I'm gonna put it in this thing right here. If it don't say, you know what I'm saying?
It is.
If it, you know what I'm saying, and then I'm gonna go do some research to try to disprove it. If it do say Jericho, I'm gonna find out how that's false.
Oh yeah,
and I'm
it is. So, like Jerusalem existed, like as early. Okay, for example, even in the biblical tradition, you got Abraham going to Salem. Salem is the short name for Jerusalem. Okay, you got Abraham going to Salem and seeing a king in Salem, right? You know what I'm saying? And this how I know that the biblical tradition does have some accurate history in it. You know what I'm saying? Because Abraham, he's going to Salem during a time period when Jerusalem is not Jerusalem. It's called Salem. But when you look into history, Jerusalem is actually there in history around that time when when the biblical traditions say Abraham is existing and going to Salem, and it's actually a king in Jerusalem around this time. We're talking about the 14th century BCE, 15th century BCE, stuff like that. So you have Jerusalem as old as that. You know what I'm saying? You have it's there and it's named Jerusalem. It's actually spelled a certain way to let you know.
I gotta look into that. But I'm okay. So I want to go back to this Jericho thing. You said a lot, and I'm not, I'm not trying to, but I'm trying to wrap my around the Jericho thing. So aside from the Arula,
Ibala.
I butchered that. But aside from the Ibala tablets, what other dating methods are they using to date the city?
I mean, those two are the biggest things.
What two? I missed Ibala and what else?
It's other texts too, but those ancient texts, and then you have the archaeology of the stones and the rocks and the dirt. You know what I'm saying, and the things that's there.
So outside of historical text, when you start talking about the science of how they dated it, and that's my point, is that they don't have no science to date nothing. Like they don't say the science, there's no accurate science to date something 20, 30, 40,000 years old. They don't have no science to do that. They say it, they put it in books and they talk about it.
How do they?
But they don't that's not real science.
How do scientists date rocks?
Google it. Go on your phone, pull it right now.
Rocks.
Because I don't want to mess up with recording, right? Yeah, cause how you gonna date a rock? How old is dirt? How you age dirt? How you say, well, this dirt is 40,000 years old, and this dirt is 75,000 years old.
It's the structure of certain rocks that's used to be built. Okay, so let me how to do.
Yeah, that's my question. How are they dating scientifically? How were they able to date Jericho scientifically to say it existed way before Abraham. Like, you know what I'm saying? And it could have been the old city.
So it's two methods that they use. One of them is called a radiometric one. A radiometric was absolute dating. They call that absolute dating. Radiometric dating measures the decay of trapped radioactive elements like uranium and potassium that's found in these rocks and these fossils. And then the other so you got radiometric dating and you got relative dating. All right, so these are the two methods. Relative dating is the method arranged rocks and fossils in chronological sequence to determine which is older or younger without assigning an exact number. So you got relative dating.
So relative is saying which ones came first and second, like, and that's basically what depending on where they dig them up at. If this rock is on top of this rock, that means this rock is younger than this rock. That's essentially what relative thing. But going back to the radiometric. So what I'm gonna do this because I've done it in times past. I'm gonna go into the accuracy of radiometric dating.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna guarantee you, I'm gonna be able to show how the radiometric dating is not an accurate science.
I mean, nothing is accurate, to be honest.
Oh, there's a lot of stuff accurate.
I mean, when I say when I say accurate, I mean they can give you a specific date. They give you a specific
When I'm saying, I'm saying none of this is not even remotely scientific. That's what I'm saying. And I'm gonna reach. That's my goal. That's what my issue. I'm gonna try to do that.
Do radiometric dating methods give absolute ages, and can they be tested for accuracy?
Well, they can't give absolute dating methods. There is no absolute dating method, in spite of claims to the contrary. I was in a museum recently and there was a sign on the wall that said absolute dating uses radioactive properties of rocks and fossils to assess a more precise age. But that's very, very misleading, because you cannot get absolute ages through scientific processes. Absolute ages are actually only available to us through a reliable historical record. An eyewitness account, in fact, is needed to determine the age of anything.
So because it's interesting, you saying the city of Jericho is that old. Now, I could conceivably believe that maybe the city of Jericho existed before the flood. It was an ancient city that's why them walls were so, fortified, and they were so significant for a time. And then it survived. That city survived the flood, and people came and set up shop there and hid behind them walls. And they were so confident to hide behind the walls because no man could take down the walls. Because maybe they were built before the flood. And then the Most High used vibrations and sound frequencies and had, through walk around this many times, don't make no sound, don't do this. So the between vibration and sound frequencies, and then at the end, on the seventh day, y'all do 7 times, and then after that, y'all shout, and then the walls fell. You know what I'm saying? So to showing the power and the Most High know how everything works, because he's all powerful. So he showed them how to take down the wall. Cause maybe those walls are like we see Stonehenge, and we see all these massive structures that we know a regular person ain't build. So you know what I'm saying? So you know what I'm saying? I'm just saying that's a possibility.
That's why I love you, because you know what? When it comes to the Bible, you definitely is going.
Hey, see, he act like he compliment me. But hey, I said this from the beginning, man. I'm riding for this book, man. I'm riding. Hey, listen, and I didn't say that's what happened. I'm saying I could see it if. I do this research and confirm that Jericho is that old. I hope I got that mosquito.
When I go to,
yeah.
When
I don't know. I've never researched. I'm just saying. But I'm saying I'm looking.
And it tell you.
Yeah,
it tell you. It's over 12,000 years old. It actually.
I don't know about that part, but I think it could be older than.
If it's in Israel and they're telling you. That is over 12,000.
Not the Israelis.
No, the and all the archaeologists that's there in Israel, they're not Israelis. They're not Jews.
No, I'm just asking.
Yeah, I'm saying.
You saying they telling you? I'm like, who? Because I don't listen.
I'm saying it's in Israel, and in the history in Israel, when you go into Jericho, and you doing a historical visit of Jericho, You know what I'm saying? The information tells you that this is the oldest city in the world and it dates, over 12,000 years old. You know
I need to see it. And so in Israel, how old do they say the earth is?
I mean, it depends on who you're talking to.
Yeah, I know.
You know what I'm saying? It depends on who you're talking to. If you're talking to somebody who's strictly a biblical, traditional believer, they would say it's 12,000 years old.
So who in Israel gonna say that this city is over 12,000 years old? I don't understand how that works.
Historians and archaeologists and people.
Well, you know what? Let me stop playing. no. I'm saying no because I'm acting like these people really own they own some way other stuff over there.
But they not. It's just they doing way. It's not. Man, these people know because these archaeologists and historians.
No, I ain't talking about archaeologists. I'm talking about the state of Israel.
Oh, I mean,
they wild.
Yeah, but
you know what I'm saying. So I'm not even act like they gonna really just represent the truth like that. And it's like, well, let me stop playing that game because the people over there wild.
But they not the ones who This a lot of this stuff been there before the state of Israel. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Existed. So you had people going over to Israel, and doing archaeology research and historian research before the state of Israel actually was formed. You know what I'm saying? So is like I feel like this. Jericho is very old. Let me just do a quick Google on how old it is real quick because it's very old. Is if not the oldest city, is one of the oldest cities.
Okay,
you know
but I'm as positive I can be that it ain't older than 12,000 years.
Oh, you crazy? Now I'm serious. Now, okay, now
these mosquitoes, man.
Okay, now it's approximately between 11 to 13,000 years old. You know what I'm saying? That's the range that they giving.
11 to 13. It sounds a lot like 12 to me. Yeah, it sounds a lot like 12,000.
So Jericho was built on the first day of Genesis.
It don't exactly because like you said, the data is a range, right? 11 to 13 because they don't want to say 12. But I'm saying so if it was 11,000, that means it was built 1,000 years after Earth was established. So all I'm saying is, it could have been built before the flood, which would have still been under 12,000 years, which is very fits that age range. You know what I'm saying? That's all I'm saying. So you know what I'm saying? Possibly it could have existed before the flood and before Noah and Abraham. Like it could have been built up during that time and survived the flood and people moved in there, and that's why them walkers. It's interesting to me about the walls of Jericho. I never really did a study on that, but how massive was those walls? I've never seen the size of the bricks. It's one of them things that you look at there like, ain't no way a man built that wall. I don't know, but I didn't. I was pretty sure it wasn't gonna be older than 12,000, and now I ain't saying 11, 13,000. But who said like it was older than that? Like you said, like you said their writing suggested it was older than that, but then you said they on a plaque or whatever they put on there, they said it was older than that, right? Or they said older than 12,000.
Yeah, it's older than 12. Yeah, and it's going back to like the Neolithic, age. And this
I read that, but I don't know what that means.
It's old.
You know what I'm saying? Neolithic. I remember when I researching, you read all this stuff, Neolithic age and this day. I don't know what that means.
Talk
to me like I'm dumb. Yeah, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, but nah, Jericho is old. All right, so and then you got cities that is just as old as Jericho. So I'm just saying that based off because we look at the biblical narrative and we say that okay, the earth is 12,000 years old. You know what I'm saying?
At the oldest.
But how can that be so when you got cities just as old as that? You know what I'm saying?
Well, once again, we're not dealing with pinpoint accuracy when it comes to dating. Let's just say, you know what I'm saying? Let's just say that the dating was within the range of, 12,000 years or whatever. Like you said, was it on the day one? Well, it's like it's not pinpoint accurate, right? So they because if you give me a range, well, Jericho between 11 and 13, that's a 2,000 year. Right, that's a big range. That's not accurate. 2,000. We might be out by a year, 1,000 or 2 years. It's 1,000 years or two.
But that's still old enough to be like the question. Like, okay, is the Earth 12,000 years old?
Yes, it is. It is. I'm just saying though, and you said this earlier. Like, it's not. When you come to dating, they're giving you a range, right? So that's why I said 11, 13. That sounds like 12 to me. It's a range. It could have been 11.5, could have been 11.1, could have been 13.
Even if let's just say it is 12. Let's say we go to his latest. Let's say let's say Jericho is 11,000 years old, right?
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Let's say that. You know what I'm saying? So
that fits the biblical narrative.
So
that fits where I say it could fit.
How,
it could fit.
Is 1,000.
No, with the Most High, So, because he's not bound by time, he's outside of time.
So I'm saying, in the first 7 days, are those 7,000 years?
That's the Bible don't say that. That's something we was taught. You know what I'm saying?
So what do we get to 12?
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
From Ezra's.
Well, I mean, like I said, I said between 12 and 6, like because you got one argument is 12, another argument is 6. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. So I think Ezra's kind of give that the idea that it was 12 to 12 parts and everything. But once again, that stuff that was taught to us, that's not. I can't recall. I haven't went back and just looked at that, right? But I look at a lot of other evidence, a lot of other studies and stuff like that outside of that, the things we was taught in that way.
Yeah.
But what I was going yeah, so I was saying, like, so let's just say the first 1,000 years of man on earth, within that first 1,000 years, we know Cain killed Abel. He went away. People came. They started building cities, and his sons was once built the first city. So within that first 1,000 years, people start building cities, and then so it's very possible within that framework that this city was built before the flood by these people that start building cities. You know what I'm saying? It can fit within the narrative of the scriptures. All I'm saying.
Yeah, Jerusalem existed, before the flood actually, happened. Depending on what dating are you dating the flood to, you know what I'm saying? That's a whole conversation, also too.
But you on one end, it's nice a little confusing because now you're saying how you dating the flood, but then you saying the flood didn't happen.
No,
there's no
I
evidence.
never said the flood.
Are you saying there's no evidence for the flood?
No, I'm saying there's no evidence that
it was a worldwide flood.
Yeah,
that's what you said.
Yeah, because it's evidence.
I disagree.
Of a flood in Mesopotamia. It's evidence of a flood in Mesopotamia that caused damage. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it was everywhere. That's all I'm saying. You got clams on top of the mountains, man. I'm saying that because that's the first thing. That's the first evidence that come to my mind.
Yeah.
But because I rock with old Ken Hovind.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I've been out there to Dinosaur Adventureland.
Okay.
And the stuff, the evidence he got about the dinosaurs, bro. That's where I learned about people there's Africans in Congo that seen those things because it was an African girl that came to Dinosaur Adventureland on tours. I forgot how she the whole story, but when they was telling her, they telling her like, yeah, these ancient things, they died out. This and she's like, I seen one of those. He's like, oh, you seen, like you said, you been to another museum? She's like, no, I seen one. Like I seen one in life. Like we see them all the time in the Congo. He like, and the dude, he like you tripping? Like now, you like a hippo or something? Like a rhinoceros?
Yeah.
And so it's a bit of a language barrier because she was she didn't speak great English, but they going back and forth, and eventually they had to accept what she was saying. I've seen them. We see those in the Congo or somewhere by the Congo or something like that. But she's like that, deep in out, because it's certain parts of the Congo that still haven't really been explored. But they like, we see them. She's like, we seen them. Like it was like a triceratops, I think it was that she said she seen them, something like that. But she's telling the people like, I didn't seen that.
Yeah.
These things are alive today. Yeah. So you know what I'm saying, but it was a very interesting thing going there. But however, I say all to say about Ken Hovind is that he goes into this stuff, thoroughly. So when I edit this, I'm gonna use probably some stuff from him and amongst other things. But there's overwhelming evidence that there was a worldwide flood, but that stuff gets suppressed. Ken Hovind gets called a quack. Oh, he don't have no degree. How does that change clams on top of a mountain? Because it's nothing. How you explain it? Now, I'm not saying you, but I'm saying this. How does a person explain how a clam that you find sitting on the seafloor gets to the top of a mountain and is fossilized? I keep going.
When the climbers got to the top Mount Everest, 1953, the year I was born, they got up here on Mount Everest. They began to find something interesting: petrified clams on top Mount Everest. In Peru, a couple years ago, they found giant oysters up to 11 feet across, 2 miles above sea level. That's a big oyster. You should see the pearl. And these clams are interesting. I got some on the table down here. They're petrified clams in the closed position. Now, think about it for a minute. When a clam dies, it opens. The muscle inside relaxes, the ligaments on the outside pull the shell open almost instantly. When a clam dies, it opens up. How would you get bazillions of petrified clams in the closed position on top of mountains all over the world? Well, I would like to point out, Your Honor, that Mount Everest is a little ways from the beach, number one. Number two, clams do not climb mountains very well. And number three, when a clam dies, it opens. The best explanation for this is they were buried alive. Sometimes huge beds of these are found. A guy in Opp, Alabama said, Brother Hovind, you want some petrified clams for a museum? I said, yeah. He said, they're 4 feet thick in my backyard. When he rototills his garden, he brings up thousands of petrified clams, closed petrified clams. We've got a bunch in our museum down in Pensacola, Florida. Even fragile items like eggs are found fossilized. I believe the sediments would settle out of this flood. Fine sediments would preserve things in incredible detail. Here's a fossilized jellyfish. We have an arm to an octopus, fossilized octopus arm in our museum. Soft tissue simply doesn't fossilize. Under very special conditions are required.
Okay, it's probably due to a flood, but is that the same flood that the biblical narrative is talking about?
So, I mean, that's the question you can. That's a fair question, but you know, I'm just saying, like, you got to explain. It got up there somehow with water because it didn't fall out the sky. You know what I'm saying? And that, you know, like I said, the Grand Canyon is proof of a flood. The geologic column, in my opinion, is proof of a flood. You know what I'm saying? Because you don't. Well, you know what? Let me take that back. No, let me walk that back because you never even found a geologic column in real life. They only exist on the pictures and books. They don't. You know what I'm saying? You'll see that, but that happens if you take a bunch of different dirt and put it in water bottle, shake it up. Guess what? You're gonna create a column of dirt because they're gonna set this heavier dirt and it's gonna set on its own thing. So if it was a flood and there is a geologic column, that would make sense with the flood. Like so, it's a lot of evidence. That it was a worldwide flood.
It probably was a worldwide flood in different times around the world. You know what I'm saying?
Just when I thought you were about to contradict yourself, you slid out of that one. All right. You're going too far with this, man. But yeah, so that's definitely gonna be something that we're gonna get into. I mean, I'm a researcher and put back, man. But that's been an interesting conversation, man. So let's. I don't know. I want to shift gears here and get into some more theoretical, conspiratorial stuff, right? I want to pick your brain. I got you. I want to pick your brain. There's a lot of stuff we haven't discussed and talked about, man. So, I start here, I guess. Do you believe in outer space? Do you think that they've been? Because I think we were talking about earlier. You said you think we've been to the moon. Or where you at with that?
Now with the information that that's out there and that's there, I do believe that
This ain't just a broadcast. This is family right here. Laugh. Learn and be encouraged. Let go of all the fear. Bold faith.